welcome back to Relocate with Kaya. I am Kaya and I provide online support via consulting and coaching with individuals, employees, and families moving abroad. I provide them with relocation country-specific resources, and on my channel I share my own personal journey of moving from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania to Johannesburg, South Africa with my wonderful husband Rich and our beautiful daughter Nina. And today I'm going to be chit-chatting with someone that I now consider a friend. But she is a South African real estate agent. She actually helped Rich and I find our home here in Johannesburg. And her and I just chit-chat about the process of purchasing in South Africa as a foreign national. I reached out to her because I do get a lot of questions regarding what is required, the financing, pretty much what are the inner workings of buying abroad. So hopefully she is able to answer some of these questions. And if you have additional, or if you need additional information, definitely just shoot me an email. My email address is in my bio on YouTube, and also at the very bottom of this banner. So so hopefully you enjoy it. There is a bit of a delay in the sound, but hopefully you're able to get the resources and the information that you need from this conversation. Thanks for watching. Bye. How are you?
Good. My video is not yet working. Now it is.
There it is. Hi.
Yes. How have you been?
I've been so good. How was your holiday?
It's been lovely. It's been amazing. And it hasn't been easy, but we are pushing.
Yeah. Did you can you hear me?
I didn't hear that.
Did you go out of town?
I was out of town, but I don't consider it where my mom is, and that's in the Northwest Province. And I spent the time there. It was quiet, just rejuvenating for the new year. And how was your first Christmas in South Africa? Oh, it's not your first.
Yeah, yes, because usually when we would come, it would be in January. So it was our first Christmas, and it was very, very nice. It was quiet, but it was really nice. Like the weather on Christmas Day obviously wasn't great, but the lead up to Christmas
was rainy. Yeah, it was rainy.
Yes. Yeah, but it was very nice. Quiet but nice.
I want to switch from my headsets. Just give me a moment with that, okay?
Okay.
I think I'll do better without it. It's giving me an echo. Can you hear me?
Oh, perfect.
Let me adjust my volumes there.
Okay.
Good. Yes. I'm with you. Yeah.
Perfect. So thank you for agreeing to have a conversation about purchasing properties in South Africa, because literally most of the questions I get are about buying and just the process, because it is different here than it is in the States. And I think what people mostly get hung up on is that you don't have representation from another agent as a buyer. So I said, well, let me see if my wonderful agent friend would be willing to have just a conversation to kind of walk people through the process, because they want to come. They want to come, and I want them to come. So I just wanted, to provide some information and context, and also I want them to meet you because you are super duper knowledgeable. And if they have additional questions, I'll provide information, your contact information for them to reach out to.
Fantastic. It's such an honor. It's a great opportunity for me as well. I have been looking forward to it, and I gave myself a chance to try and imagine what it's like in the States, having a buyer's
having a buyer's agent, to walk you through the whole journey.
Yes.
Yeah, it must be really, it's a very different scene in South Africa. So
Mm-hmm.
if it was left to us agents, we would love that, buyers, if it was left to us, right? Because then at
Right,
least,
right.
yeah, you know that you're moving with this buyer and they will indeed buy that property. So
That's right.
in the heart of every agent, we love our buyers and we'll do everything for them.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
just that it's the seller that is responsible for our commission, it's the seller that is
Right.
responsible, that appoints us and all of that. So that's how it's laid out. So I'll be happy to take you through. If you have any questions,
Please.
more than delighted
Yes.
to answer them. My name is
Thank
Akofa,
you.
and I've been in the real estate industry for about 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
mostly in the buying and selling aspect of it. I
Mm-hmm.
do some rentals, yeah, and I'm more than happy to assist. So,
Yes. Mhm.
yeah. Is there
Excellent.
any top of mind questions that you have that you
Yes.
wanted to take me through?
Yes. So I definitely don't want to take up too much of your time. So I do have a pre-made list of questions, and feel free to elaborate. But I guess the first question I had is, what if you wanted to purchase or even rent? What form of ID would you need to do that?
Okay. Okay, so in terms of identification, a passport is 100% fine.
Mm-hmm.
You would use a passport and then what we call FICA documents. Okay, the
Mm-hmm.
passport would be part of the FICA document. So FICA is Financial Intelligence Center Act,
Mm-hmm.
and they've got a list of means of identification. So in this
Mm-hmm.
case, you're looking at, let's say, a passport and a proof of address,
Okay.
proof of your residential address. It can be in the form of a bank statement that has your physical address on it. It can be your
Mm-hmm.
tax statement or any utility bill that has your residential address on it. So that's the two basic forms of identification that you need. And then when it comes to, maybe if you're going to go through the banks in terms of a
Mm-hmm.
bond, there are another set of documents that you would need. I can take you through that maybe at a later stage.
Yes.
Yeah. Would you like
Excellent.
me to do
So
that
when
now?
you,
Okay.
oh, sorry. When you say proof of address, is that from the country that you're coming from?
That's correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
So a passport is fine to purchase. You don't have to have a visa.
You don't, well, okay.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
if you're coming in and it's a cash deal,
Mhm.
cash buy, as in you're not going through the banks. Visa is not necessarily something that you need to worry about. But when it
Right.
comes to going to the bank to apply for a bond, the
Mhm.
50% option, we'll talk about that later on.
Mhm.
You would need to have a valid permit, whether it's a visitor's permit, a working
Mhm.
permit, it has to be valid. It
Mhm.
um it, it must not have expired. It has to be valid.
Excellent.
In place.
Um, okay, and that because not to get too much into the weeds, but you can absolutely purchase a property here and not be a permanent resident. Like you do, like you can purchase a property here on a tourist visa. I'm not sure if you're too
100
familiar.
100%.
Okay.
100%. Yeah, that's what makes the South African market, real estate market, favorable
Yes.
for nationals. Yeah, because they make it so easy. You can
Yes.
actually purchase here. If you've got
Ex-
100% of the purchase price, more than
mhm.
welcome. And
Yes.
then by law, actually, for every rand that you borrow in South Africa, you have to invest a rand. So that's why you'll hear a lot of the banks will give you 50% of a bond. Yeah. But with that
Wow.
50% of the bond that you might need from the bank, there are some documentation that they would require from you.
Okay. No,
Yeah.
no, that makes sense because
Yeah.
I think there is a confusion whether or not you can purchase and not have a visa. So yeah, so that's really helpful to know. And it's also very appealing. Again, if you could buy, outright okay, if it's a cash offer,
Yes.
you can, so that's really, really appealing because people from the States are doing that. Like they're buying, because it is, it's more affordable to pay the full amount if they have it, because your
Instead
money,
of,
you get so much
yeah,
more for your money.
yeah. Instead of going through the banks.
Yes.
Mhm.
Which actually leads to the next question. So South Africa does offer financing if you want it, if you can kind of just go over that as much as you can,
Okay.
how that
Yes.
process works.
Yeah. So there are finance options,
Mhm,
from all the major banks in South Africa.
mhm,
I'm not going to
mhm,
list them, but so traditionally the rule is the banks can give 50% of a bond to a foreign national, right?
mhm.
But you do find, and I'm not going to mention any names,
Yeah.
some banks that can actually do a bit more than that.
Yes.
Even up to 100%. I've heard of scenarios like that.
Oh, wow.
Of course, there would be some conditions.
Yes.
It's not unheard of, and it's not
Yes.
illegal. It's not illegal, but traditionally you'd get a 50-50. So that's if you've got, your 50%,
Mhm.
what you call down payment. It's called deposit
Right.
here.
Right.
The 50%
Yes.
deposit, and then the balance can be done that way. So you can also structure it in what we call a cash deal.
Mhm,
And that is, even if you don't have the full amount, you can
mhm,
structure it over a couple of months, for example. It's
mhm.
all subject to agreement from the seller's side. So,
That's
for
right.
example, you can come with a 50% deposit and then structure the remaining 50% over a year.
Oh,
If the
wow.
seller, yeah, no, you can do that. If the seller is happy to receive something like that, there's no
Yeah.
issue. Yes. So it's all subject to
And
that agreement. Of course,
that's
the property remains in the name of the seller
the
until
seller.
the full payment
Yes.
is
That's right.
done,
So they get all their money.
and then the transfer will happen. Yeah. And then we've got
Excellent.
what we call rent to buy. Rent
Mm-hmm.
to buy.
Oh, okay.
So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that can also be structured where you're renting the property maybe for a period of a year or 2 years, with the
Mm-hmm.
intention that at the end of the 2 years you'll put in an offer. So there
Oh,
is some
wow.
kind of a document that will be drafted at the very beginning that will sit with the lawyers until such time that you do make that final offer. But I must say
That's
it's not very common.
common.
It's not very
Mm-hmm.
common. Sellers want
Mm-hmm.
their money so they can go.
That's right. That's right.
They don't, hardly do you find them wanting to wait 2 years or three
Yes,
years, unless
that's
maybe they
right.
themselves are unsure. So it's
Right,
very rare.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's very rare.
No, yeah, so they do offer that in the States, and it's not super common, like you said, but it's nice to know that that is an option. Now,
Mhm.
just to go back to the seller agreeing, and obviously depends on the seller, but there are situations where they would, so in what situation would someone stretch the process out over a year? Is it contingent maybe on them selling their property in the States, or why would someone have to wait that long, you think?
You get that a lot with people that run businesses, for example. They know
Mhm.
that they're getting certain lump sums coming in. They don't
Gotcha.
have the full amount right now, but they're sure
Oh,
that they are
okay.
getting lump sums, and they know they can structure it. Yeah.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
yeah, they opt for that. I mean, of course, there's savings there because then you don't have to pay any interest by going to the bank, right?
Right,
So
right.
if the seller is willing to wait,
Hmm.
it's not a bad
Oh,
option. Yeah.
no,
It doesn't have to be over
that's
a year,
fantastic.
but I mean, we do get
Right, but
instances where, yeah, a person can pay in like five installments, for example. You get things
yeah.
like that.
Oh, wow. And again, this all depends on what the seller agrees to.
Yes, absolutely.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So that's okay. So the financing. So yeah, so ID financing, just looking at my notes here.
And
Oh,
while you're doing that, everything would be, written in the contract in terms of
yes.
dates. So even if you're
Yeah.
spreading it over a year, we know that on the 1st of February, a certain amount is coming in. On the 2nd of March, we would put all of that into the contract so that there's
Oh,
no
nice. Oh,
arguments
yeah.
in
Yes.
the
Get everything in writing, as we're always told.
yes,
No,
yes.
that's fantastic. And I guess so. My next question, because I had five, is what exactly is the role of the solicitor? Like, how involved are they? Like, are they just there for the transaction itself, like day of, or preparing the documents, or are they do they act as agents, buyer's agents, but they're not?
Okay, so so here in South Africa, the solicitor is the estate agent, and their
Mm-hmm.
role is okay. First of all, they're appointed by the seller.
Mm-hmm.
They're
Oh,
appointed by
okay.
they're appointed by the seller to
Mm-hmm.
market and sell the property. So the role
Oh,
of the agent is, taking people around to view the property. And our responsibility is also the contracting stage where we take a
okay.
person to and the offer to purchase. There's quite a lot of intricacies that we discuss, with the purchaser as we're completing that document. So you do need to work with a knowledgeable estate agent who understands, the pros and cons and understands the terms and the conditions and all that. So that's the agent's role. And then up until we submit the instruction to the attorneys, to the
Mm-hmm.
conveyancer. Once we've done that, we don't wash our hands off. We have a whole relationship period,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how it is in the States, but it takes
Mm-hmm.
about 90 days to register a property. How long does it take there?
It was much like if it was a cash offer, it could be 30. But typically, like when I work with clients, I try to prepare them that it can last anywhere to 60 to 90 days.
I see. I see. So
Mhm.
of course, I mean, I'm sure it's quite similar to
Yes.
what you do there. We
Yep.
take you through the whole process. So our conveyancers are very hands-on. They
Okay.
handle much of all the admin processes, everything that pertains to this transfer, and they will keep communication going with the purchaser,
Oh,
the
good.
seller, as well as the agent. So
Oh,
I
that's
sort of I would stand in as, like to coordinate anything. If let's say my purchaser missed a document or didn't understand something, then I would come in and, try and do what I can to facilitate the whole process. So we walk through the whole journey with the purchaser and of course the seller right
Mhm.
until registration and even
Mhm.
after.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Even
that's
after,
nice.
because after sales service is also important. Just, check in on
I
your
should check
purchases,
in.
happy in
Exactly.
their home, if everything is looking
Yes.
safe. Yeah. And
Oh,
especially, I
that's
think,
fantastic.
yeah, I think it's a very important leg for foreign nationals, especially because they might have questions about the area, maybe schools and things that
Yes,
it's not always that easy to pick up on the internet, or to be
that's
sure
right.
that what you're reading on the internet is actually,
It's
fact. Yeah.
right. Exactly.
So
No,
it's
that's
nice to
huge.
have, it's nice to have that companion who will
Yes.
walk through the whole journey. So that will be the role of the estate agent. We
Oh,
are
that.
um we are highly regulated.
Mhm.
We're governed by the PPRA,
Mhm.
and we to operate as an estate agent, you need to have a fidelity fund certificate, a valid one. So
Mhm.
highly recommend that if you're working with an estate agent, just make sure they are registered and they can actually show you a fidelity fund certificate. You don't want to be working with a fraudulent person, that's just
Yes.
posing as an agent, and yeah, a lot
So
of
when you
things go
say
wrong that way.
that, okay, because so essentially what you're saying is make sure, like, so in the States, layman's terms, for us Americans, you're saying make sure it's a licensed agent. Because so in America, you have your license, your real estate license. So that just means you're a legit realtor. Is that kind of what you mean? Make sure that the
Exactly.
person is credit.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
It's only recently that they've changed the licensing to every 3 years. Actually
Uh-huh.
just last year. So just make sure that the license is valid.
Valid. Oh,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
really important.
Yeah.
So it sounds like when you are purchasing as a purchaser, you can have a little bit of peace of mind, even though you don't have representation solely for you, but it seems like it's like a team effort. So you have, the solicitor, conveyancer, and then also the seller's agent.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
that's good. Oh,
And
that's good.
and you mentioned the conveyancer. I don't know if you're aware or if it's the same in the States. It's
Mhm.
actually the seller who appoints the conveyancer.
That's good to
So
know.
yeah.
Okay.
So the
Oh,
seller appoints the conveyancer as well. And the purchaser is the one that pays the conveyancer.
right.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so there are those transfer costs as well, but yeah, if
Mhm.
you want to know more about that, I can share.
So, but unfortunately, you have no say in the conveyancer who they choose to do the paperwork, essentially, the transaction.
Legally, it's the seller's responsibility, but
Mhm.
it's not to say you have no say. For example, if you've got a personal conveyancer, you've got a good
Mhm.
relationship with them, you can
Mhm.
suggest it.
Okay.
I would, for example, I've had clients who would suggest, oh, can we use this attorney instead? And I'll do my own research, first of all, to see if
Right.
those attorneys are reputable.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
reputable, and then I'd recommend it to my sellers, but it's up to them. Some sellers don't mind. Some are very, stuck on, I want to use
Right.
this
Yeah, this is the
conveyancer
person I want
because
to use.
just
Mhm.
trust for trust reasons. They've worked with them
Yeah.
before and they'd rather, work with the same people. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. No, I completely get that. Okay. Oh, this is great. Okay, so I think that's okay. So yeah, so that takes care of the logistics. What could you talk a little bit about what the market is here in South Africa? Like, is it a buyer's market, seller's market? Like, do you recommend people that are looking, um, people that would it be a good idea to purchase and rent as an Airbnb? Like, does it depend on what, like, could you speak to that a little bit? Because I feel like a lot of Americans specifically, if they haven't figured out the visa situation, they're just like, okay, well, I want to have a place there and Airbnb it or rent it out. Is that, and if they decide to do that, is that kind of a smart move or does it depend on where and all those other things?
Hmm. It is, if you consider, I mean, I don't want to talk about COVID and economic
Mhm.
stuff and
Right.
everything,
Mhm.
everything that's happening.
Mhm.
Um, it's a buyer's market. It's a buyer's
It's a
market.
buyer's Oh, okay.
It's a
Mhm.
buyer's market, but I would say it's also leaning a little bit to somewhere in the middle,
Mhm. Mhm.
where there's a lot of negotiation going on. Sellers are
Yes.
negotiating, buyers are negotiating.
Mhm.
Affordability
Mhm.
is an issue. In terms of investment, for example, it's a prime time for investors because they get to negotiate a little bit lower for their properties. Sellers want to
Mhm.
sell, they want to wait, and
Yes.
because a lot of people can no longer afford to buy, the rental market has also gone skyrocketed.
Oh, really?
Yes, you get a lot of people renting now. They just need to have a good credit record and they would
Yes.
be able to rent. So investors are
Mhm.
happy. Investors are
Yeah.
happy. They're getting
Oh,
very good
good.
returns, very, very good returns
Mhm.
for their property. Even for the Airbnb space. Whether you're
Yeah.
looking at long or short-term rental, it is
Mhm.
the market for it. And the Airbnb
Oh, that's
space
good.
is it's also recovering. Of course, I mean, COVID slashed that, but it's also recovering, and you're finding a lot
Mhm.
of Airbnbs are, fully functional again.
Oh, good.
For some time, people had to consider a more longer term to be able to make some income. Yeah, but
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
recovering, and of course, in terms of Airbnb, it's very, very subject to location. You've got to be in the
Yes.
location for that. And in South Africa, especially, let me talk about Gauteng in Johannesburg, where I'm based. The areas that are close to the Gautrain station, those are very hot for Airbnb, because people want to be able to get around. Of course, you don't want to have
That's right.
transportation problems. So it's a great buyer's market.
Oh, that's fantastic. And also, like you said, for an investor. So if you're not doing Airbnb necessarily, and you're just doing long-term rentals, being near public transportation would be ideal.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
And more for the longer term rentals, the areas around the universities and the working hubs, of course, are doing very well.
Yes. Oh, no, that's a good point.
Students needing accommodation, so that's a big market in South Africa.
Oh, that's great. Okay, so it's about, this is really, really helpful for me personally. And I think for people that are definitely interested in buying, because like I said, I think ultimately people probably would eventually, people that are looking to invest, I think their long-term goal is to move here, but just knowing that they could, rent the property out, I think is, that's it. But also considering, like, if this is what you're going to do, think about it in a way that is going to keep your place occupied or rented. So that's
just
great.
to add on a little bit to the whole investing aspect, you've got to be considerate of the kind of property. So if your intention is Airbnb or investment, just go for the smaller, like a 2-bedroom apartment, not a 4, because those don't rent out too quickly.
Right.
2 bedrooms are hot cake. It goes out so quickly. So if that is your intention, then go for that. But if it's more to have a comfortable place for yourself, then you might want to consider, the 3 bedrooms and upward. 3 bedrooms are also very common. Yeah,
that's really, really smart. Yeah, because I guess it depends. Like, if you do decide to retire there, do you want a big old house, or are you okay with doing a flat or a 2-bedroom? So no, that's really important to think about the long term. So I'm trying to think. No, that's really, really helpful. I'm trying to think if I had any specific questions. About so are there, I don't know, because I know in America you can't they call it steering, like, leaning people towards certain neighborhoods and certain areas and all that stuff. But could you maybe speak to, like, what areas are popular that people are purchasing in, or just, could you talk a little bit about that? Not steering necessarily, but just saying what the market is dictating. Or popular areas to purchase or buy or rent.
Okay, so I'll speak for Gauteng and leave the coastal areas out, because I don't really feature there. If I had to refer to a colleague, yes, I can. But in the Gauteng areas, that's Pretoria and Johannesburg. Like I mentioned earlier, you would consider the areas close to the universities. Those areas are really hot cake. And then the Gautrain. So I'm talking about Hatfield, for example, in Pretoria. Hatfield and moving into Hatfield and Arcadia. Those are good investment properties. And then Centurion has a plethora of properties that from investment properties to, like, family homes. You've got all of that here. I'm in Centurion. And then the Gautrain. I love Centurion because it's such a, as it sounds, central location. Easy to connect to Johannesburg, easy to connect to Pretoria, whichever direction you're going from Centurion. It's just perfect. So I love it here. And then you've got Midrand. That's also lots of new developments also happening in that area. And then I'll leave it at Sandton, right? But not Sandton, the hub, because of course that can be a bit congested. But there's Sandton is massive. Like, for example, the
Yes.
four-way areas also falls into Sandton. And then
Oh,
you've got,
does
yeah. And then, sorry about that, you've got your Auckland Park, the Braamfontein area, because of the
uh-huh.
University of Wits University.
Uh-huh.
That is also prime investment area.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
I think
Oh, sorry.
in a nutshell, that would be highly recommended.
Okay, no, that's really helpful because people want to know what areas, because Johannesburg is massive. And I
It
think
is.
people don't realize how big it is.
It
I mean,
is.
it's
It is.
hard to conceptualize. So
It is.
even we were out this weekend and we ran into a guy that he was saying that he lived in Sandton, and he was just the suburbs of Sandton, and I didn't realize there was a suburb because our daughter goes to school there, and it's like right in the middle of the hub. So I didn't realize that there were like neighborhoods outside of that. I thought it was just like
Rivonia.
Mandela Square.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Rivonia
and
is
it's
an
like, oh, it's a
example.
great neighborhood.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
Especially you want to be a little bit away from the hub, but not too far away.
yes,
So you've
right.
got, yeah. Yeah. Those are really
Mhm.
nice areas. I think I wanted to add something, but it just popped out of my head.
So, sorry, I was blabbing.
Oh, I
Okay,
was
no,
going to say when you were talking about how massive Johannesburg is, that I
yeah,
also actually drove in a completely new part of Johannesburg yesterday. That even
you're
I was
kidding.
surprised.
You're kidding.
I kid you not. It was so breathtakingly beautiful. Like I always knew that it's called Ramsey. I always
Uh-huh.
knew that they had like really luxurious properties there, and it's on the
Mm-hmm.
mountaintop, and the views you
Mm.
get to see Johannesburg. One
Oh
day,
my goodness.
just put it in your GPS and take a
Yes,
drive. Just put
yes.
it was
Oh, that sounds
breathtaking,
amazing.
and
Really?
Johannesburg is massive, beautiful too.
Yeah, yeah. It's yes, yeah. I think yeah, like it's just so when people say they want to move here, it's kind of just like you need to narrow that down. So like you kind of need to figure out
There
like for us,
exactly.
it was literally centered around the school. It's like we knew we wanted to be close to the school, and also we knew we wanted to be close to the city. I don't even know how we talked to someone at Nina's school, and she recommended these areas that were close. So that's how we ended up, in Parkhurst. And we really, really, it's really nice because it's an older neighborhood, and being close to Fourth Avenue is our favorite part of it. But and I don't know, where we're going to end up at, but yeah, like it's it's kind of hard to figure out unless there's like a point of reference, like a school or job or something like that. Trying to narrow down where you want to be because you have so many choices as far as like types of homes and neighborhoods and gated communities. Could you speak to any of that? Because I know a lot of people from the States are always recommended to live in gated communities, and Rich and I didn't necessarily want that, but so that's why we moved to more of an established neighborhood. And it felt like it literally feels fine. Like there's so much, not security in a bad way, but there's a lot of, I feel like we may as well be in a gated community because there's so many services like ADT and, CAP and all those driving around,
That's true.
but the community
That's true.
itself isn't gated.
That's true. Yeah, a lot of people don't realize that look, just because it's not in a gated community doesn't mean that you're at risk.
That's right.
There's
Right.
yeah,
Right.
there's a lot, and a lot of neighborhoods have community watch groups. They've got these WhatsApp groups, and everybody just looks out for everybody.
Yes. Yep.
And one really, really popular trend, should I say trend or style, okay,
Mhm.
is boomed areas. So it's not
Mhm.
necessarily in a gated community, or maybe let's call it a gated community. It's called boomed
Mhm.
area, where they sort of closed off all the entries and exits and left maybe 2 or 3 open, and there's always a
Mhm.
guard at the gate, and you've got to swipe to enter, and so
Oh,
it feels more secure. So there's that
yeah.
option, which doesn't give you the limitations that you might feel if you're living inside what we call a security estate. Now,
Curious.
the city estates are also really beautiful. They're gorgeous. They've got
Mhm,
clubhouses. Some of them have,
mhm,
all these golf. Yeah, you can play golf. You can
mhm.
do all sorts of things. So it has its advantages.
Oh,
It's not
yes.
very. It's not just restrictive.
Right, right.
So either way, whichever way you're looking at it, you
Mhm.
can't go wrong. You can't go wrong.
Right.
Just
You'll be able to
don't
find something.
Yeah, just be
Mhm.
in the right neighborhood that works for maybe your job or
That's
like you said,
right.
the school
Lifestyle.
and that kind of thing.
Mhm.
And just get a second opinion.
Yes.
Always get a second
It-
opinion about the area. Yeah.
yes. Yes.
Um, yeah, you'll hear a lot of people saying, for example, when I'm doing my viewings, a
Mhm,
person will ask, okay, so how safe is this area? And
mhm.
it can only be so safe. You still got to
Right.
be careful, whether
That's
you're
right.
in a gated, whether you're in a
But
gated community, or you've still got to be, careful. There are
yes.
people that will try and disturb your peace.
Yes.
Be
Yes.
aware of your surroundings and be
Yes.
happy.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's literally, I always tell people the exact same way you behave in the States is how you would behave here. It literally is the
Yeah.
same way. And, coming from Philadelphia, which, is a pretty dangerous city, like when people, just being a realtor there, like,
Mhm.
again, you can only say certain things. You don't want to try to lead people into certain areas, but so you have to be diplomatic as to how you answer that question. Is it
I
safe?
see.
It's just
I
like, well,
see.
you just have to be smart.
Yeah.
And yeah, and just be smart and mindful of your surroundings and do a little bit of research as far as like what the activity is in that area. And then you kind of just make your decision based off of that. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, that's really, really helpful. And I think it's a lot of I find myself having to say it's not like, that's not because the imaging of what, Johannesburg in particular is, it's a lot of trying to change that perception. So when people
Yeah. The
say that,
news, the news isn't helping.
doesn't
Because
help.
if you follow the news, you would probably not leave your house.
Right,
But it's
exactly.
really not that bad. Come on.
Yes. Yes, exactly. Like, yes, all these beautiful people here that live here, and people are moving here. So they
Yeah.
wouldn't do it if it was so dangerous and scary, believe me.
Yes. And what about like how much luxury you can actually get for so little in South Africa? Isn't that you can get so much with so
I
little.
will digress because I can do a whole video on what you can
Okay,
get
let's not
in
go there.
addition to, yeah, yeah. In addition to being around just, the people, it's just so many things, but I'll stop.
Yeah.
But yes, you can definitely live a life that you may not have been afforded somewhere else here. And yeah, and people I think are realizing that, particularly Black people are realizing that, Black Americans are realizing that. So there is, an interest and people are really curious. So that's why I was like, well, let me just see if she'll talk to me about purchasing, because a lot of people want to know about what the process is. Do I have to have a visa? Do I have to be a permanent resident? And kind of like what the process is when you don't have a buyer's agent. Like, am I kind of out there on my own? Because that's what I thought. Like before we moved here, just looking, because we were looking at investment properties, and it felt a little scary because it was like, well, we don't have any representation. We're just supposed to trust these people. So it was a little daunting, but just knowing that it's like all these people, and you have to be smart about,
You've got
the information they're giving you and kind of make an informed decision based off of that.
yeah.
So yeah, so
Yeah.
that's
Well,
no, this is super helpful.
yeah, I would emphasize the being smart part. Be smart about the agents that you're working with. Check that
Uh,
they are certified. Even
mhm.
if even if you're given for example conveyancer details, and
Mhm.
just do your research. Check that they are
Yes,
indeed real. Take a drive there, speak to somebody, just do your checks.
yes.
Never transfer to a personal bank account or
Um,
somebody else's business account. It has to, I mean, funds for the purchase of a property goes to the attorney's trust account.
The
It doesn't
trust,
sit
that's
in
right.
anybody else's bank account. It sits in the attorney's trust account. It belongs to the purchaser until such time that the property has registered
Transferred.
and yeah, and all the reconciliation is done. So
Thank you
just
for
be
saying
safe.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
be safe, be
Yes,
smart, know who you're dealing with.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I actually was talking to someone that purchased recently and the deal fell through, but the person wanted them to deposit the money into their own personal account. And she was like, well, we're not. And the agent was like, well, don't do that. So you definitely want to, work with someone, an
Not even
agent
if
that
they
you
have
can
a pretty
trust.
smile like mine. No.
Right, and face and all of it. Yes, no, it's so true. It's so true. You definitely have to do your due diligence with who you're working with. So yes, you do have to do a little bit of extra work, but also, like you said, common sense and all those things need to, be a factor in this as well. I think that was so yeah. And then the last thing that I just wanted to ask, as far as like when you so you find a property, you submit an offer. Could you explain how that process works? Like, do you do like inspections and all those things? Can you walk away from it if you do an inspection after you decide, oh, this house requires it? You can't negotiate an agreed upon price after you did your inspections. Can you talk to that a little bit?
Okay, so a home inspections it's not mandatory in South Africa, but what is mandatory is the seller has to provide a property condition report. So it goes to the extent of asking questions like, are there any defects in the roof? Have you made any extensions without the necessary building plans? Have you is there a problem with the electrical, problem with the plumbing? All those questions are on the property condition report. It is mandatory. You do not buy a property without seeing what the condition is and making an informed choice. So if for example maybe you're buying a rundown property that you want to renovate, right? And you're looking at the defects and you feel you need somebody to bring their expert opinion. Yes, you can. If it's a structural issue, you might need an architect or you might need a structural engineer to come and check out something for you. Yes, you as the purchaser can do that. It's up to you. So apart from you going to that length, it's up to you, the purchaser, to check and be sure that, okay, I can see there's a crack here and I accept it, I understand it, I know what to do with it.
That's right.
And that's about as far as it goes with property inspection. So once you've viewed a property, you've done the inspection, you are satisfied, you sit with your agent and you through the offer to purchase. That's what we call it here, offer to purchase. And personally, right, I don't like paper. However, the offer to purchase that I work with is 19 pages. And people find that like, oh my gosh, 19 pages. But I kid you not, that 19 pages saves everybody. It saves the purchaser, it saves the agent, it saves the seller. So stay away from a 5-page offer to purchase. That's my motto. Like, don't do that, because an issue will come up and nothing is covering you. Because if it's not on paper, it doesn't exist.
Does not exist.
It doesn't exist. So I love, the offer to purchase that we use. It's detailed. Everything is covered. Every single question you could possibly have is covered. And you know what to do. So we go through all of that. We sign the offer to purchase. We sign the property condition report. And then there it's going to move to, if you're using the banks, for example, we would then distribute it to the attorneys as well as what we call a bond originator. Have I spoken about a bond originator?
No, I don't think so. Mhm.
Okay, so for example, if you're going to need a bond, a mortgage, as you call it, if
Yes.
you're going to need
Mhm.
that, we recommend that you use a bond originator.
Mhm.
Why? Because they have the relationship with all the banks. It's not,
That's
and
right.
it's going to be time consuming for you to go to 5 different banks and try and
Mhm.
negotiate, whereas you can appoint a bond originator who can do
Mhm.
that. And
Oh,
what
nice.
a lot of people think they have to pay for the services of a bond originator. The amazing
Mhm.
thing is it's not in South Africa. It's free to use a bond originator. Free from, our side. They get
Yeah.
paid by the bank pays the bond
Yeah.
originator. They want
Oh,
to
wow.
help you. Yeah. So
Mhm.
it goes to the bond originator. They will apply to all the banks, with
Mhm.
obviously your particulars,
Yeah,
apply to all
great.
the banks. Yeah, and then they'll receive responses with different interest rates, of course.
Yeah,
And that's where a lot of negotiations also happen, because you want the best interest rate for, your
that's right.
property.
That's
So
right.
they will negotiate on your behalf. If your preferred bank is offering too high of an interest rate, they
Mhm.
can go back and forth and,
Shop
try
around.
and negotiate for you. So then, yeah, so once you've signed all the documents, it goes to the
Mhm.
attorney, it goes to the bond originator, they apply for the
Mhm.
bond on your behalf, you get a
Mhm.
response. There's usually a condition in the offer that says how long you've got to get your bond approved.
Mhm. Yep.
It's called a suspensive condition.
Mhm.
Usually give about 21 to 30
Yep.
days.
Yep.
That's about how
Mhm.
long you need to get your bond finalized.
Yep.
So at that stage, while you are sorting out your bond, the attorneys would also start with, requesting your identification and proof
Mhm.
of address. So remember in the beginning, we spoke about your ID and proof of address, FICA.
Yep.
Um, all the role players in the process will need to have your FICA
Yep.
documents in hand. Yeah,
Yes.
so I'll ask for it. So don't be surprised if, like, the agent is asking for it, the attorney is asking for it, and
Yes.
and even at attorney stage, you're working with a transfer attorney as well as a bond attorney if you are
Mhm.
getting right. So they
Mhm.
will ask for it,
Yep.
and
Yep.
your bond originator will request that from. So it's prime. It's this whole
Oh,
thing
yeah.
again, money laundering and all sorts of fraudulent
Yes.
activities. It's very
So you
important.
no, so you should be concerned that these individuals are asking for it separately because they're independent of each other.
Yes, you
Mhm.
shouldn't be concerned.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we're not allowed to do business without it.
Yeah. No, that's
Um,
yeah, it's very similar process in the States.
okay. Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah. So then
Yeah.
at that stage, you would also get your costs from the attorneys,
Mhm.
the costs that are due to them.
Mhm.
It would include transfer duty. For
Mhm.
properties over 1 million, there's transfer
Mhm.
duty
Mhm.
involved. So they'll give
Mhm.
you all of that. And yeah, once you've accepted your bond, now the transfer attorneys can draft transfer documents
Mhm.
and start their process. So they handle, the whole admin process. They will deal with
Yep.
all the administrative issues there, draft the
Mhm.
transfer documents for both the seller and the buyer, and
Mhm.
they'll deal with all the finances. If
Mhm.
there's a cash element, they're the ones that were requested into their trust account, not into
Right.
any other account.
That's right.
And then they'll deal with all finance aspects like, the rates and levies. They'll communicate with
Mhm.
the body corporates. They'll communicate with the homeowners associations to check
Oh,
what the balance
wow.
is. Because for you, once the property is registered, it's actually
Mhm.
registered on a clean slate. So there's no outstanding municipal debts for you to carry
Right.
over.
Mhm.
Always make of that. The property actually will not register if those things aren't done. All
But
of
yeah,
that has
same
to
thing in the
be
States.
okay, good. All of that has
Mhm.
to be cleared by the
Clear.
seller.
Yeah. A
Yeah,
clean
so
title is what they call it
yeah,
in America. Mhm.
yeah. So the transfer attorneys will handle all of that. They'll keep communications going between all the role players, and
Mhm.
all the way, and even with the banks, they deal with the banks. They'll get whatever formal documents they need. They've got their
Mm-hmm.
terminology. They'll deal with the SARS, that's your IRS.
Yeah.
They'll deal
Mm-hmm.
with them, pay over whatever is due up until they lodge for registration and
Mm-hmm.
until registration. So the attorneys will deal with that. Then on registration day, by 12
Mm-hmm.
o'clock, you get a message that says the property is now in your name, and it's hooray and parties and champagne if we must.
So that's amazing. So a couple questions. Can all this, I don't recommend it, but people definitely do it. Are you able to buy a property sight unseen? So if you don't see it, are you able to purchase?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Okay.
But then, so especially this happened a lot in the
COVID. Mm-hmm.
COVID times where everybody was locked down. We did a lot of virtual viewings.
Mm-hmm.
Some
Mm-hmm.
people were comfortable to say, I've seen it virtually, I'm fine, I'd like to go
Yes.
ahead with it. That's your decision. That's fine.
Yes.
Nobody's stopping you.
Yes. That's
Um,
right.
if I was the agent working with them, I would make sure that I put that in writing, that
Oh, yes. Yes.
that you did not see it, but you're happy to
That's
put
right.
all of that in writing.
Yes.
Some
Yes.
people, for example, they knew that, okay, they're not able to see it now, but let's say
Mm-hmm.
in a month's time, they will be in the country to be able to look
Mm-hmm.
at it. You can write in the contract subject to you being happy when you finally viewed it in
Oh,
person.
wow. Oh,
Remember,
that's good to know.
everything is subject to agreement between buyer and seller.
Yes,
So
it's seller.
doesn't need
Mm-hmm.
to pause everything and wait for you to come and view it and be
Mm-hmm.
happy. It
Mm-hmm.
can go on. Legally, nobody's stopping you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, that's great. And I guess which is so in the States they call it in America closing day. So that's when everything is signed off and done. And we usually do that usually in person. Is that not, you guys don't meet in the office and exchange gifts and have wine or champagne? None of that. You just get
Okay.
a phone call.
Okay. So I think different agents are free to do it as they please. But
Mhm.
traditionally you would meet the seller at the property.
Oh,
And
okay.
yeah, you'd meet them at the property to hand over keys and it's always
Oh,
nice when you do a little orientation. Maybe show them
yeah,
this is how the pool works, this is how the
yeah.
electricity functions. You press this, you press that kind of thing. That's always nice.
Oh,
And
oh,
it's at
yes.
the discretion of the agent to, celebrate, exchange gifts and all
Yes.
that. It's
Oh,
not
that's
mandatory, but it's just a
it's not
nice
bad.
thing that you do. Yeah.
Yeah, a nice added touch. Oh,
Yeah.
that's really good to know. And I had one question that I wanted to inquire, and it literally slipped my mind. So you do, so I was talking to a friend who was, I think she buys or she wants to get into purchasing investment properties. And she was saying that one thing that you should, as a buyer, should make sure that's included in the paperwork is appliances, or like everything is going, like the way you see this house is what's going to be here when you purchase it. Because she was telling me these horror stories, how people have taken light fixtures and things like that out of the property. Is that
Yeah.
something that you would need to explicitly say in an offer, or is that
So,
on the documents? Mhm.
okay. So that's why I love my 19-page document.
That's that's right.
Because we definitely have a section for that. We've got a
Mm-hmm.
section that says all fixtures are remaining on the property, except,
Mm-hmm.
so there's a
Mm-hmm.
portion where the seller can declare
Mm-hmm.
this chandelier was from my great grandmother, so I'm taking it
That's
with
right.
me.
That's
They've got
right.
to put it in the
Mm-hmm.
document. Yeah. So
Okay.
if you go
Then
and
that's great.
sign a 5-page offer to purchase that does not specify any of these
Mhm,
things,
mhm,
I can
mhm.
assure you that you will go and you will find no light fittings, and you can't ask any questions because it's not in the
That's right.
document.
That's right. That is correct.
So
Yeah, that's so, because I feel like we in America, that has now become an explicit part of the agreement. I don't think it always was, but now it said this, tell me what is excluded, because
yeah.
everything else needs to be there. Tell me what you are taking with me. And if it's not, if it's not written that you're taking this thing, it gives you, you have the right to. But no, as long as it explicitly says, either it's staying or going. No, that's good to know, because
For
people
example,
have questions about
if I hadn't gotten into the industry, I probably wouldn't know that even plants, you've got to specify, because
really.
some people spend a fortune on their plants.
Yes.
Some of these
Yes.
plants are worth so much. So
Yeah.
they've got to include it in the sale or exclude it. So
Oh,
yeah, I discovered that as
wow.
well.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness, that is a new one, because wow. Okay. No, that's no, that's fantastic. I think that, I really think that you've answered all of literally most of the questions that I've gotten or people are most curious about. Because like I said, people are definitely discovering your beautiful country, and they have questions. And it's mostly about, how can I get there? So, the whole purchasing thing, I think this is going to be really helpful. And I also wanted I just want to make sure it would be okay if people would like to reach out to you, is that you do provide a service of, you are able to, if people want to consult or have questions, or, want to contact you, it'll be okay for me to share your information. If
Yes,
that's all right with
please.
you. Yes.
Yes,
Yeah, I
please.
definitely
I
will.
am available, willing, and more than enthusiastic to assist anyone that is interested. Another nice thing about how we work here is, I may not have listed all the properties in Johannesburg, right? But
Mm-hmm.
we work on referrals a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So even if it's not my listing, based
That's
on a
fantastic.
referral relationship, based on a
Mm-hmm.
referral relationship, I would be able to, assist, have
Yeah.
our own sort of mutual buyer's
Yes.
agent agreement
Yeah.
going on. It's nothing that we've
Yeah.
signed, but you
Yeah.
know that I'm working with you to find a property. We have that.
That's
And guess what?
and
You
that's
don't even pay for
color.
it.
Yeah, that's right. Well, gotta pay for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's it. Is it because if it's okay to say that you work for Keller,
Yes,
is
yes, yes.
that so is that common? Because I feel like I don't think that's very common. Because my experience before I was introduced to you was that, oh, that ain't my property. So
Okay.
you might want to reach out to that agent. So the fact that it's such a big company and that you have referrals and you can show the properties, because I think when we looked at properties, you showed us properties that weren't yours, they were
Exactly.
people in the company.
Exactly. So within the Keller family, at least you know for sure that nobody's going to reject your, wanting to show a property that's not yours. At least we
Right.
know.
Nice.
But if it's another agency, there is a
Mm-hmm.
possibility that they would say, sorry, I'm not sharing.
Yeah.
There is a
Yeah.
possibility. But what's
Right.
great that our network is so big that there's no
Mm-hmm.
area that I wouldn't find a Keller agent.
A
The
property.
network,
Oh,
the
that's
network
nice.
is the network is big, and then relationship wise, if you're able to relate well and negotiate well with other agents, you're able to show their properties as well.
Yes.
We go by the pie is big enough for everyone to eat. So let's
Everybody. Yeah, no, that's fantastic. No, yes, because when we went out, and the agent was really nice that was there, and I think you knew anyhow, but no, it's really, really, really nice, because it's like, the company that I work for, like, it was always nice if we were able to work with other agents within the company, because you have the rapport, and ultimately you guys want both of your clients to be happy, and it ends up being beneficial for everyone. So the fact that you have other properties that you can show that's not solely yours, it's huge, because this is a big city. So that's really, really great. So that's good to know, because everybody in the States know Keller, because they're everywhere. So that, I think, name recognition, I definitely support, smaller companies, but the name recognition is pretty powerful, particularly when you're coming from another country. So
true. That's true.
yeah.
Yes.
Well, this has been wonderful and an absolute delight, as I knew it would be. And thank you so much for taking the time, because like I said, this I think is going to be extremely helpful to people. And I will definitely give you a heads up, of course, but if someone is, have questions and wants to reach out, I'll definitely share your information with them. I can speak from my own personal experience. She found this, she did a walkthrough into video of this beautiful home that we're staying in now, and we love it. And she gave us her honest feedback on the area and the neighborhood, and we literally could not be any happier. It was exactly what we saw online. It worked out. The owners are amazing. The property management company is great. So yeah, she helps us, and we were very happy, because trying to do this from a gajillion miles away is stressful. So to know that you have somebody that'll be your eyes and ears is invaluable. So that's that on that. So,
It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure.
oh
I'm
my
so
goodness.
happy that you're happy.
Yes,
If
yes.
you're happy, I'm happy. I
Thank you.
love taking the stress out of the whole experience for
Oh,
anybody that I work with.
yes,
So that puts
you did. Yeah,
that just
peace of
puts a
mind.
smile on my heart.
Yes, yes.
So
You gave
yeah.
our entire family peace of mind. And I just want
Oh,
to share that with other people that are, kind of in the same predicament, or looking to purchase or, rent. Mainly purchase, but rent too.
You will get honesty out of me. I will give you my honest
Yes,
opinion. If I'm not
yes,
sure, I will ask. And yeah,
that part.
yeah.
Yeah. No, if I don't know, I'll talk to somebody that does and get the information for you. That literally is how, that's a good, yeah, that's what you do. So thank you so
Thank you.
much, friend.
Thank you
I
so
will
much.
definitely be, post this online, and yeah, if people have questions, definitely reach out to me, and I'll reach out to her and connect you.
Excellent.
Okay.
Thank you so
All
much.
right. Thank you.
Great.
You have a wonderful day, and thank you
You
again for
too.
doing this. I
Thank
really
you.
appreciate it. Okay.
Thank you so much. Keep well. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.